Damascus steel is a type of steel that is well known for its strength, flexibility, and unique patterned appearance. The steel was named after Damascus, the capital city of Syria, where it was first produced and traded in the Middle East during the ancient times. The exact method of how the steel was made, however, has been lost to history and remains a mystery. The steel was created by welding together multiple layers of iron and steel, and then subjecting it to a process of heat treatment, hammering and folding. This process resulted in a distinctive pattern on the surface level of the steel, often described as looking something like wavy lines or a wavy pattern. One theory about the production of Damascus steel is that it involved the use of a specific type of iron ore known as woods, which was found in India and Sri Lanka. The ore was believed to contain high levels of carbon, which would have given the steel its unique properties. However, this theory is not universally accepted, as it has not been possible to replicate the process using Wootz iron. Another theory suggests that the unique properties of Damascus steel were a result of a specific type of heat treatment. This would have involved heating the steel to a very high temperature and then cooling it in a liquid, such as oil or water. The rapid cooling would have trapped the carbon atoms within the steel, which would have given it its strength and flexibility. Despite extensive research and experimentation, the exact methods used to create Damascus steel have not yet been fully understood or replicated. Some historians and metallinguists believe that the knowledge of how to make the steel was lost during the decline of the Middle Eastern empires that produced it, while others suggest that the methods were deliberately kept secret. The steel was used to make swords, knives and other weapons, as well as other tools and decorative items. The steel was highly prized for its strength and flexibility, which made it ideal for weapons, and for its unique patterned appearance, which made it highly sought after by collectors. Today, the term Damascus steel is often used to refer to any steel that has been patterned to resemble the original Damascus steel, even if it is not made using the same methods. In recent years, researchers have attempted to replicate the process of creating Damascus steel using modern methods such as scanning electron microscopy and X-ray diffraction to analyze the microstructure and chemical composition of the ancient steel. This research has provided some insight into the methods used to create the steel, but the full process still remains a mystery. The mystery surrounding Damascus steel is rooted in its unique properties and ancient techniques used to create it. The steel, which was used to make swords and other weapons, was known for its exceptional strength, flexibility and sharpness. It also was known for its distinctive pattern of swirling lines, known as the Damascus pattern, which is created by layering different types of steel. The origins of Damascus steel can be traced back to the Middle East, specifically in the city of Damascus, Syria, where it was first produced in the 3rd century CE. However, the techniques to create the steel were lost over time, and the production of Damascus steel came to an end by the 18th century. For centuries, the technique used to produce the steel were closely guarded secrets, and the exact methods used to create it were lost in history. Many theories have been proposed to explain how the steel was made, including the use of high carbon content iron ore, and the use of special heat treatment techniques, and the use of secret alloys. Some theories suggest that the steel was produced using a specific type of furnace, or that the steel was treated with a special type of acid or other chemical. Despite the lack of information around the ancient techniques used to create Damascus steel, several modern metal linguists and sword makers have attempted to recreate the steel using techniques using various methods. Some have been able to reproduce the steel using modern techniques, while others have been unable to replicate the exact properties of the steel. The mystery surrounding Damascus steel has also led to many myths and legends. Some believe that the steel was made using the blood of a certain type of fish, or that it was created by wizards and alchemists. However, these myths are not supported by scientific evidence. Today, Damascus steel is considered a rare, valuable material, and many modern knife and sword makers continue to try to recreate the steel using modern techniques. Some have been successful in replicating the steel, whilst others have not. The mystery of the ancient techniques used to create this steel and the fascination with its unique properties will continue to capture the imagination of many. Damascus steel was forged steel of blades of swords, smithed in the Near East of ingots of wood steel, either imported from southern India or made in production centres in Sri Lanka or Khorasan, Iran. These swords were characterised by distinctive patterns and bandings of mottling, resemblant of the flowing water, reminiscent of the flowing water. Sometimes sometimes in a ladder or a rose pattern. Such blades were reputed to be tough, resistant to shattering, and capable of being horned to a sharp, resilient edge. Woots, as it's known in Indian, Pulad in Persian, Fulda in Arabic, Bulat in Russian, Binti in Chinese, were all names for historical ultra-high carbon crucible steel typified by carbon segregation. Woots is an enormous transliteration of Utsa or fountain in Sanskrit. However, since 1974, it has been primary word used to describe the historical crucible steel. Origins of the name Damascus steel is continuous to Islamic scholars Al-Kindi and Al-Brini. Both wrote about the swords and steel made for the swords based on their surface appearance, geographical location of production or forging, or the name of the smith, and each mentions Damascene or Damascus sword to some extent. Drawing from Al-Kindi and Al-Biruni, there are three potential sources for the term Damascus in context of steel. The word Damas is the root word for watered in Arabic, with water being ma in Arabic, and Damascus blades are often described as exhibiting a water pattern on their surface, and are often referred to as watered steel in multiple languages. Al-Kindi called the swords produced and forged in Damascus as Damascusine, but it is worth noting that these swords were not described as having a pattern in the steel. Al-Biruni mentions a sword smith called Damasci, whose swords were of crucible steel. The most common explanation is that the steel is named after Damascus, the capital city of Syria, and one of the largest cities in the ancient Levant. It may either refer to swords made or sold in Damascus directly, or it may just refer to the aspect of the typical patterns by comparison to damask fabrics, also named Damascus, or it may indeed stem from the word Damas. Identification of crucible Damascus steel based on metal linguist structures is difficult, as crucible steel cannot be readily distinguished from other types of steel by just one criteria. So the following distinguishing characteristics of crucible steel must be taken into consideration. The crucible steel was liquid, leading to a relatively homogeneous steel content with virtually no slag. The formation of dendrites is a typical characteristic. The segregation of elements into dendritic and interdendritic regions throughout the sample. By these definitions, modern recreations of crucible steel are consistent with historical examples. Bin iron. It has been produced by Western barbarians. Some types have spiral south patternings, whilst others have sesame seeds or snowflakes patterning. When the knife or sword is white cleaned or treated with gold thread almond, the pattern appears and its value is greater than silver. The reputation and history of Damascus steel has given rise to many legends, such as the ability to cut through a rifle barrel or to cut a hair falling across the blade. Though the accuracy of these legends is not reflected by the extant examples of patterned crucible steel swords, which are often tempered in such a way to retain the bend after being flexed in their past elastic limit. A research team in Germany published a report in 2006 revealing nanowires and carbon nanotubes in a blade forged from Damascus steel. Although John Verhoeven of Iowa State University of Ames suggested the research team which reported nanowires in crucible steel was seeing selenite, which itself exists in rods, so there might not be any carbon nanotubes in the rod-like structure, although many types of modern steel outperform ancient Damascus alloys. Chemical reactions in the production process made the blades extraordinary for their time, as Damascus was super plastic and very hard at the time. During the smelting process to obtain root steel ingots, woody biomass and leaves are known to have been used as carburizing additives, along with certain specific types of iron rich in microelements. These ingots would then be further forged and worked into Damascus steel blades. Research now shows that the carbon nanotubes can be derived from plant fibers, suggesting how nanotubes were formed in steel. Some experts expect to discover such nanotubes in more relics as they were analysed more closely. Roots was also mentioned to have been made out of a co-fusion process using shaburquan, hard steel, lightly cast in white iron.